I used to massively overcomplicate scaling my agency. I'd see people online getting to $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 per month. And I'd just sit there thinking like, how the hell have you done that? But over the last few years and after generating more than $2 million with my own agency, I now understand the simple maths behind it and the formula that you need to follow. So in today's video, I'm going to jump into my computer and show you the maths behind scaling to $50,000 and $100,000 per month. Now, for some of you watching this video, you'll already be running ads. Maybe you're not. But either way, this still applies to you, and you still need to take the lessons from this video, because if you don't, you will never get to a point where you can scale. Now, what I'm going to do is walk you through a couple of metrics that you need to be on top of. Now, first up, we have our ad spend. Then we have our cost per book call. This is how much we pay to essentially get someone to book in for a call with us on our ads. Then we have how much is it costing us to generate a lead and actually collect phone number, name, email. Then we have how many calls we're actually booking. So if we're spending 300 from 10K spend, around 33 calls. With a 20% close rate, that would then be 7 clients. Now, this is where it gets interesting. That works out to be $1,500 cost per acquisition. So it's costing us $1,500 to acquire each of these clients. Now, most people would try to sell an offer for like $2,500 inside their agency, right? And that's what they charge their client. But what that means is your lifetime value of that client is only 2.5K. So what we actually need to do is we need to increase our LTV and bring it closer towards the $6,000 mark. Because when we do that, we then have the budget and the wiggle room to go and spend on ads to then mean that we can actually scale up our agency predictably with a paid lead generation machine. And that is by far, unless you've got a big YouTube channel and unless you've been in the game for years and you've got crazy contacts, this is the only way you're going to be able to do it fast. So what do we need to do? We need to increase our LTV, and really what we should be doing is breaking our payments up into payment plans. So for this example, I'm going to say each new client that we land, we charge $2,000 per month and they stay with us for a 3-month long time frame, okay? Which means that our LTV per client is $6,000. Now, this could be SEO, this could be AI, this could be paid ads, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what the offer is. The main thing that matters is this LTV number. Then we've got our margins. And now if you're operating the business, running it yourself, doing all the delivery, you don't have many team members, and you're pricing the right way, then your margin should be pretty high. 75% if you're doing all the work is pretty standard. And that would mean that from 6,000 LTV, our lifetime gross profit per client is $4,500, okay? Which would then tell us that our lifetime gross profit and cost per acquisition is 3x. We're spending $1,500 to acquire a client and we're making $4,500 profit to then keep that client, okay? And this is a number that we need to also work on increasing. So just with these numbers, like these are low numbers and basic numbers. If we are spending $10,000 per month and we're getting all of these metrics here, which by the way, this is like average. This is kind of average, maybe even a little bit higher. And this is kind of average for a qualified shown book call. So someone who actually turns up and is qualified for your offer. This is where it gets very, very exciting. And this is what most people overlook. In the first month with those numbers, let's say each one of these are clients, right? And each color is associated with each month that these clients come in. Now we know that clients are going to stay with us for 3 months because that's how long our program is, or at least 3 months minimum. Maybe we keep them on for longer. But if we do that and we collect 7 clients at $2,000 per month, that is $14,000 straight off the bat from 10K spending ads. Now, most people will look at that and go, oh, ads aren't working. I need to turn this off. But this is what you need to do. On top of that, we're making 10.5K profit because we're at 75% margins. But then if we do the same again the next month, we've now got 14 clients. So our MRR is now up to 28. Our profit is now 21. And then month 3 comes along and our MRR is now 42 and our profit is 31,500. Okay. We're now also managing 21 clients at this point. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So we've kept these clients for 3 months. And that means that the clients that we had in month 1 are now going to fall off in month 4. But they're going to be replaced by month 4 clients. So we now maintain a level of keeping 21 clients paying us 2K per month until we stop running the ads, until we stop filling the machine. So we're now at this plateau where we've got 21 clients. We're spending 10K per month to acquire these new clients each month. But each month now, we're walking away with 31,500 profit. Now, 21 clients is quite a lot to manage. Maybe you're going to bring in some team members at this point. Maybe you want to go and double spend on ads. But if you just continue doing this for a 6-month timeline, you would then be making 42K per month, 31.5K profit, and every month you're keeping those 21 clients all the way up until month 6, which would then mean that over the 6-month time frame, we've spent $60,000, we've collected $210,000 in cash, and we've profited $157,500, and that is from 60K of spend. Okay, and like I said, these numbers that I gave you up here, they're not crazy high. This is very, very standard. You may work on increasing your close rate. You may work on getting this cost per book call down. And of course, you may look at spending more money on ads when you've now realized that, oh, actually, I've now made 157K profit in 6 months from 60K of ad spend. Now, you've also not only got all this profit, you've now essentially worked with all of these different clients. There's like 50 clients that you've worked with that you can then ascend and upsell into something else, right? So there's always more opportunities with the clients that you've already landed. They've already been working with you. If they've had a good result, maybe they'll stay on, and some of these ones will actually continue into month 6, for example. There's so many different opportunities to make money here. But this is the core math that we need to get down for it to make sense. Now let's look at this at a bigger scale. Again, all I've done here is double the ad spend, which would in turn double the amount of leads that we collect in, double the amount of calls, kept it at 20% close rate, and we've doubled the amount of clients we're landing. I've kept all the numbers the same, and you can see here the numbers pretty much double, obviously. And then now come month 3, you're now making $84,000 a month, $63,000 profit. Now you are working with a lot more clients, so I'd imagine your margin to take a hit. But if we look at total spend, we spent 120K to generate 420K in revenue and $315,000 in profit. And this is literally it. These are the numbers we need to follow. These are the numbers we need to work on. So how do we work on these numbers? Well, let's go back to spending $10,000 per month, because there are so many optimizations we can make here. Now, let's say we are collecting 500 leads at $20 per lead, but we've now got a setting team in place. Now, these setting team, they dial every lead as soon as they come in. And each month from these 500 leads, we're able to generate an additional 20 new calls that haven't previously booked in. They were never going to book in. They just gave us their contact information. So on top of the calls we would have booked, we've now booked an additional 20. So we're at 53 calls, which brings our average cost per call down to $188. And now we've been doing this for 6 months. Our close rate has got better. We've dialed in that pitch. We've dialed in that sales process, which means we're now landing 13 clients every month. Our cost per acquisition is almost half now, because we're booking more calls for the same amount of ad spend and we're closing more clients. But the big difference that we're now going to make is we're now going to collect more cash. Okay, so we're collecting $3,000 per month over a 4-month time frame, which brings our LTV to $12,000 per client. So that's how much we're making over the 4-month timeline with them. We're still at 75% margins because we're using AI for our delivery, and we've systemized the delivery as much as possible. We're working with one type of client, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. And on those margins, it means that we're now making $9,000 in lifetime gross profit from each client that we land. So our lifetime gross profit to CAC ratio is now 12x. This is a very, very healthy place to be. Okay, so now let's look at what that actually does for our business. If we're now landing 13 clients per month. Well, in month 1 from 10K spend, we are now generating $39,000. Okay, that is what we are collecting in cash from the 13 people that are now paying us 3K. Profit on that is $29,250. Month 2, we're going to double that because we're going to collect the same amount of clients as we did in month 1. We're going to roll them into month 2. We're now collecting $78,000 in cash. And we're now collecting $58,500 in profit. Now, month 3, we've still got all of the old clients with us. So we're at $117,000 for the month. And we are now at $87,750 on profit. And because we're now keeping each client for 4 months instead of 3, it means that we now have all of these clients in month 4 because we're spending the same amount of money on ads. We're still bringing in the same amount of clients, but they're staying with us that month longer, which means our MRR is now fixed at $156,000 and our profit $117,000 for the month. Now, look, these are just numbers. This doesn't mean that this is exactly what's going to happen if you spend 10K per month on ads. In fact, it's very unlikely that will happen because we always have to look at worst case, right? This is assuming that you have a setting team in place. This is assuming you get your close rate good and you're also collecting 12K across the 4 months working with your clients. And I know a lot of you don't have offers like that, but this is just an example. But then, of course, the money rolls into month 5, it rolls into month 6, and then come the end of the 6th month, you spent 60K on ads, you've generated $585,000 in cash, and you've profited 438,750. So from this video, you should now understand that actually getting to $100,000 per month isn't a game of guessing and a game of struggling. It's a game of maths, okay? And the maths you need to understand is, okay, what is my inputs? Am I spending 5K per month on ads? Or am I sending all this traffic from YouTube? Or do I have content going out on Instagram? Or am I doing cold emails? So what are my inputs? How much is it costing me to get someone on a call? Am I converting any of those leads that I'm generating into calls as well? The people that have booked in for a call, are they actually showing up? So, how many are actually showed up and how many are actually qualified? And then once they're on the call, what is our close rate? Is it at 20%? Are we at less? Are we at 10%? This is something that's really hard to work on and get up, especially if you're working on a new offer or you've just hired in a sales team. This is a massive bottleneck a lot of people face. And then from there, it's okay, well, how much cash am I collecting, right? So what is my LTV? What am I charging? How many months do people stay with me? What's my margin? Are you at 75%? Are you at 30%? Your numbers are going to look very different as you start to play with the margin. And then from there, you can work out your lifetime gross profit per client. And then you can compare that to how much is it costing you to acquire a client, so your cost per acquisition, and that will give you a lifetime gross profit to cost per acquisition ratio. And if we can keep that above 5 plus, we are then in a healthy position to keep scaling our business, or at least maintaining the business and just rolling them into each and every month. It all depends on where you want to get to. So very quick video for me today. Hopefully it helps. I see a lot of people struggling with the maths behind this. Now I have also put together a full video on how I would go from $0 to $50,000 per month. And that is right here. You can go and check that out right now. Other than that, catch you in the next one. Hopefully I would have shaved this crappy beard off by then. See you later.